And one of the interesting things about marketing and sales is they can be so closely aligned. And you talked about the word collaborate. So let me give you a couple of statistics that you should know. If someone hits your website and they are interested and they sign a form, contact us, you have 32 minutes to get that lead to somebody who can actually take action on it. Once that 32-minute clock is up, on average, the customer has moved on to somebody else. So that whole idea of collaboration becomes so important. And part of the collaboration is bank marketing professionals understanding and the bank helping marketing professionals with this. Bank marketing professionals understand that their number one role in survey after survey is to provide quality leads. So if I'm a marketing professional, my job is to provide quality leads. In order for you to be able to do that, you need to understand the culture. How does banking make money? One of the big problems with CMOs is they'll say things like, I'd like to get to the big kids table. I want to get to the C-suite. And one of the reasons they don't is because they're stuck in their own world, creating collateral and doing and the brand and all that stuff that's really important. But if you don't understand how the bank makes money, if you don't understand the target market, all those things become a real problem for you from a marketing perspective because you are an ROI engine for the bank. Now let's talk about culture. When I started St. Meyer and Hubbard 25 years ago with my good friend Bob St. Meyer, one of the things we decided is we were never going to talk about sales culture because sales cultures make customers victims. We know some pretty big banks that where has in fact happened. And nobody wants to come to their office in the morning and be sold to. And a lot of bankers I know didn't get hired by banks because they could sell. So if all of that is true, why do we call it a sales culture? It's a performance culture. And as you can see, what Eric's put together on this slide is some differences between busy bank, tick mark bank, and performance bank. Let's look at a couple of things. Performance banks focus on trust-based selling, not consultative selling. What's the difference? It's really simple. Consultative selling is me versus you. It could be scripting, it could be product pushing. Trust-based selling is me and you versus your problem. And my good friend Charles Green, who wrote The Trusted Advisor, Charlie and I talk all the time. And one thing he always tells me to tell bankers is, you don't call yourself a trusted advisor. You become a trusted advisor when you are willing to refer your best customer to your most challenging competitor because you know that they will do something better perhaps than you can in that particular situation. So trust-based selling is really important. Flexible consistency. I'll refer to my friend Karen Kelly up in Connecticut. They have a pretty big footprint at their organization, at First County Bank. So what they need to have in a culture is a First County way of doing business. That means all their bankers understand this is how we do business. This is our sales process. However, there could be in Greenwich or Groton or wherever the case might be, First County Bank may have a very small market share. So they have to have flexibility in the way the manager runs team meetings. In a market where you have a lot of market share, we're still going to run the First County way meeting, but we're going to run it differently. We're going to talk about client retention and the customer experience versus prospecting. A couple other things that I want to talk about are urgent patience. One of the things that you as a banker need to understand is that all you do is to rent your salespeople's time. But you've got to have their mind and their heart as well as best you possibly can. So when they leave their house in the morning, one of the things they need to understand is that they need to have a sense of urgency, but you have to have a sense of patience. When they come to the office in the morning, they need to think about who am I going to have a conversation with today? And you as a leader need to have the patience to allow whatever training has been done to be burned into their system and their psyche so that they in fact can deliver that message powerfully to the customer. And the last thing I'll say about this slide, and we can move on, is we need to become a learning organization. Doing a bunch of sales training because it's a tick mark will never go anywhere. Nothing changes until it changes after the training. Last year, $8 billion was spent in sales training in banking in America, and 90% of it went to waste because nothing changes after the training. The real key to a learning organization is one word, and that's coaching, Eric.
Absolutely.